guys, and your two main guys had 13. Skip, you don't need to be good in the half court if you're going to steal the ball 19 times because you're going to get some easy transition buckets. So I don't need to run a set because I'm going to be out on the break. I don't need to call a play when I'm out on the break. It's a 2-on-1. Hey, just give it up. Jaylen Brown made a sensational block to keep the ball, keep it close, but you can't, Skip. All Boston has to do, Udoka, all he has to do is show them. Guys, here's where we keep losing the ball game at right here. In the third quarter, game 1, turnover, turnover, turnover. Game 3, turnover, 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 turnover. When we take care of the ball, I'm not saying we're going to make every shot, not going to make every free throw, we're not going to make every 2 or 3 point shot. But when we take care of the ball, we can blow this team out. I still believe Boston is the better team. But for whatever reason, they're not taking care of the basketball, and you're giving Miami confidence. Now, I expect this to be a 10-point victory tonight. I'm going to be shocked. Not that they win. I'm going to be shocked if it's not by double digits.
You could be right. You should be right. But I'm going to remind you, Miami was the best defensive team during the regular season, which is why Miami won the East by a couple of games in overall record. I told you going into the playoffs, I'm picking them because they're the best defensive team. You've told me all along. Now Boston has risen above them in defense, and I just don't see it. And yet, to your point, you want to talk about the all-time steal of a game? Look what happened on Saturday night at Boston. Would you believe that the home team Celtics outshot the Miami Heat from the field and from 3? Would you believe that they shot 9 more free throws, that they actually made 9 more free throws than Miami did? Would you believe that Boston won the paint 48-34? Would you believe Boston won second chance points 21-15? Would you believe that Boston won the rebounds 44-34? And again, I didn't have my first scoring option or mostly my second scoring option throughout the second half. And they literally stole the game on pure guts, on true grit. They just said, we can do this because we know how to play defense at the highest playoff level. And all of a sudden, they are disrupting and dislodging the basketball. And you're right. They'd get off to the races, and Bam would get free, and they're making break threes, and that's how they've played all year. They believe deeply in their culture and their system and their experience, their championship quality DNA, because a lot of these guys have been there and done it at the highest level. So that's why I picked them. That's why I'm sticking with my pick. I still think it will take 7 games, but I got Miami with a home game 7 victory.
Skip, if Robert Williams is going to play, I would not start Daniel Tice alongside Al Horford. I'm going to put Grant Williams. I'm going to insert Grant Williams into the starting lineup if Robert Williams can't go. And if Robert Williams can go, I'm only going to play him in very, very, very small because that's a matchup because one of those guys, Al Horford or Robert Williams or Tice, has to chase Strus around the perimeter, Skip. That's not what they do. So if Robert Williams doesn't play tonight, I'm going to be very surprised if Grant Williams isn't inserting into the starting lineup because he didn't have his best game, but I still like Grant Williams. He plays hard. He was 2 of 4 from the three-point line, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. He plays tough. But Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown must do a better job of protecting the basketball in order to give them a chance to win, Skip. Jayson Tatum cannot be 3 of 14, cannot give you 10 points with 6 turnovers. No.
Obviously
and
not.
Jaylen Brown should have had a 50-piece. If he doesn't have all those turnovers, Skip, he's going to have a 50-piece. Because a lot of them, he's working one-on-one, and the guy just takes the ball right out of his hand. I'm like, bruh, you're an NBA player. You can't get swiped like this.
Okay, now to my final huge X factor. It's the man I love the most on the Miami Heat. It's playoff Jimmy Buckets, Jimmy Butler. I don't know what is going on with him. I will be honest. I'm going to admit this publicly. When I first heard coming out of halftime on Saturday night that he could not go in the second half, my first thought was wondering, was there another incident in the locker room with Jimmy? As you know, he's had a long history of these where he's difficult to coach. As we all know, there was a game back in March in which he and Spo got way into it, and Spo had to be restrained from going after Jimmy buckets. And I thought, well, was there something that went on, transpired at halftime? Nothing was reported about this. Nothing came out. But I think it's a legitimate concern, knowing how difficult he is and how he can just suddenly go haywire on his team, on his teammates and his coach. Did he throw a fit at halftime and Spo said, okay, I'll just sit you down the second half? I have no idea. They're saying knee inflammation. They're talking about, was there a play? I know there's a lot of internet speculation on what happened. There's the Peyton Pritchard play. In fact, we should probably take a quick look at that if we could. The Pritchard play that happened mid-second quarter. I'm not sure what you think about it, Shannon, but here's the Pritchard play. Pritchard was beaten and just reaches out and grabs Jimmy by the knee. It was pretty much desperation. I don't know if I can go cheap shot here. Obviously, it's just a flat-out desperate foul. But it's hard for me to believe that knees that have been balky all year got inflamed by that, because that's just a collision with the floor. That's a knee bruise type injury, but it won't enhance any inflammation. I don't know what you think about it, but I'm not going to hold Peyton Pritchard responsible.
I agree with you, because you're talking about a guy that came into the playoffs with a bulky knee. The guy that missed a game, he's missed a game in a playoff because of that knee, Skip. So for me to say, I can see if he came into the playoffs with totally healthy knees, but he hadn't come into the playoffs with totally healthy knees. So you know when you come into the playoffs with an injury, Skip, anything could possibly flare it up, and it possibly flared up. And he did say, I plan on playing tonight, and I expect to see him into the starting lineup. But if Boston takes care of the basketball, Skip, I just don't see a scenario in which the Miami Heat can beat them. It's turnovers. That does it every time. Now, I want to give some of the turnovers, they're doing a great job. They're overplaying. But, Skip, guy dribbling the ball, and the guy just, Oladipo just taking the ball from Jayson Tatum, just taking the ball from Jaylen Brown. These are NBA players. You can't just get the ball. You just can't get swiped like you in New York City.
We got it. So my bottom line is Jimmy Butler has to play going forward, and I hope he can, because if he can't, then I'm out, and you'll be right. Then Boston will win 3 straight games. Tyler Hero is going to have to give them a little bit of something, even on a balky quad, or I'm in big trouble, because he was the 6th man of the year. And I've seen him be in attack mode before where he gets unstoppable. He's a bucket waiting to happen, and I haven't seen that yet in this series. If those two players are okay going forward, then you're not going to be okay, because Boston will not be okay.
Skip, I don't know if you can count on P.J. Tucker to give you 17 points a game moving forward. He played exceptionally well. I know he's scrappy. I know he's going to get you a couple of offensive rebounds. I know he's going to play tenacious D. But I don't know if I'm going to pencil him in for 17 points again in this series.
All right. Well, I'll just need my other 2 options to score 17, and I'll be just fine.
You'd like that, wouldn't you, Skip? Well, guys, Butler, Hero, P.J. Tucker, and Kyle Lowry all technically listed as questionable this morning for the game. We'll find out closer to tip-off. All right, Michigan men's basketball coach Juwan Howard has reportedly declined the Los Angeles Lakers' interest